Hey everybody, it's Gauntlet X, and welcome to the Tarkir Dragonstorm Early Access event. Thank you very much to Wizards of the Coast for providing me with this early access account. And today, we're just going to hop right into a pre-release style sealed event. If you've never heard of Tarkir before, really unique format based on 3-color pairs. So there are 5 different 3-color pairs that are the clans of Tarkir with their own flavor and mechanics, which is really, really cool. And it makes the pre-release a really unique experience because you get to pick your favorite of those 5 clans and play a sealed event using 2 packs of cards that are only in that clan's 3 colors, as well as 4 regular packs of Tarkir Dragonstorm. So if we take a look at the events here, this is going to be the same once this launches on Arena fully. You get to pick Mardu, Sultai, Abzan, Temur, and Jeskai. And that is exactly how pre-release will work at your local game store as well this weekend. You can pick your favorite, or sometimes the pre-release kits will be randomly shuffled and ditched out. It depends on how your local game store wants to do it. But on Arena, you just pick your favorite, and you get to build a sealed deck of that. So my personal favorite, it's really close. I like them all. I'm not too partial to specific colors or anything. As a draft player myself, I like to just draft whatever colors were or are open, but I think Abzan is my favorite of all of them. It gives me major Amonkhet vibes, where they're all in like kind of a desert civilization here. They're enduring and making some spirits and stuff, so I do love the flavor and the mechanics of the Abzan, so that is the sealed deck we're going to start with today, and without further ado, let's bust open these packs and see what we get to play with today. Alright, so we get to check out our rares and mythics here. We do have 2 Abzan rares specifically, which is nice. But we have this big Sultai mythic too. Definitely going to be reading all of the cards probably throughout the early access event, but especially in this very first video. This is going to be my first experience seeing the majority of these cards. So that's why we're also starting with sealed instead of draft. In draft, you have a very strict time limit on the time that you have to read the cards, but in sealed, I can spend as much time as I need to familiarize myself with this. So we are starting with Taval, Arbiter of Virtue here. 2 black, green, and blue for a 6/6 flying lifelink. Okay, it doesn't need any more text from that to be an incredibly powerful card, but it also gives all of your spells Delve, so you can exile cards from your graveyard to make them cheaper. And whenever you cast a spell, you lose life equal to its mana value. Okay, I did need to keep reading. Because it comes with a downside for how good that body is for just 5 mana, but the card still seems tremendously strong, so that's a really cool one. If we have really good mana fixing, if I do play an Abzan deck here, which is the hope, we might be able to even splash in just a tiny bit of blue off of like Misty Rainforest and some other stuff to get to Vol in here. Then we have Severance Priest, white, a black, and a green, 3/3 Death Touch. When it enters, target opponent reveals their hand. Choose a non-land card from it. If you do, exile that card. When this leaves the battlefield, the exiled card's controller creates an XX for X the mana value of the exiled card. So they can't get their card back no matter what, but they do get a spirit token once this trades off. That still seems like pretty good disruption there. Like that card, and we'll definitely run it if we get to be Abzan. Sage of the Skies, 3 mana, 2/3 flying lifelink. When you cast it, if you've cast another spell this turn, copy this spell. Very, very playable in limited. Just a 3 mana, 2/3 lifelink is already a great rate. And if we manage to have some other cheap spells to play alongside it, then it can be really good. 3 mana for 2 2/3s with flying and lifelink. We have Frostcliff Siege. This is a really cool mechanic in this format. The sieges are going to be all of the enemy color pairs that could fit into 2 different clans. So because Jeskai is blue, red, and white, and Temur is blue, red, and green, they could both use this card as a blue-red spell. So you can choose Jeskai and make it so whenever one or more of your creatures deal combat damage to a player, you draw a card, or you can choose Temur and give your creatures +1/+0 trample and haste. Cool card. Really unlikely to see play here because we're playing an Abzan sealed deck, so unless our Temur somehow is incredibly good, it would be difficult to get pushed off of Abzan. We're just going to have more cards in that color trio than anything else. Fellothar now, Dawn of the Abzan, 1 a black and a green for a 3/3 trample. Whenever it enters or attacks, you can sack it on land permanents and put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. That works really nicely with Abzan's mechanic, which is Endure. So Endure is a mechanic in the format where anything that says you endure 1 means you put a +1/+1 counter on it, or you put a 1/1 token onto the board. If it's Endure 2, put 2 counters on it, or put a 2/2 token on the board. So this color trio, this clan, has token production to allow us to have some expendable cards to sacrifice to this ability to buff our whole board. So that seems pretty great there. The other thing that it can do is that the Mardu mechanic is mobilize. Mardu's red, white, and black, so there's some overlap there. We could have some white and black spells that mobilize. The mobilize mechanic spits out these 1/1 attacking warrior tokens that get sacrificed at the end of your turn or at the end of combat. They get sacrificed at some point anyway. So if you sacrifice those to an effect like this, that's really, really good value because those weren't even going to stick around. So that is the really sweet synergy. We also have Eshki, Dragonclaw, 1, a green, a blue, and a red for a 4/4 Vigilance Trample Ward 1. That is a stat line right there. Also, at the beginning of combat on your turn, if you've cast a creature and non-creature spell this turn, draw a card and put 2 counters on her. That seems quite powerful. That's quite the hoop to jump through. You got a double spell in 1 turn. But the base stats on this card are already quite good, and as long as you trigger that ability just 1 time, you're up a card. You get a full card draw. Now you have a 6/6 Vigilance Trample Ward. Really excellent card yet again, which is going to be the case for, I think, most of the 3-color cards because they are pretty color restrictive, pretty difficult to fit into your deck. So they give you a lot of power on these 3-color spells. The Sib-Sig Ceremony. Now this is a card with probably even a more difficult mana cost than some of the 3-color cards in the set, because in a set where you're so focused on making these 3-color clan-oriented decks, it's going to be very, very difficult to hit 3 of the same color of mana, triple black, but we'll see what it gives us for that. Gives us a legendary enchantment. Creatures cost 2 less to cast, and whenever a creature you control enters, if you cast it, destroy it, make it 2/2. Okay, so this is clearly a constructed-oriented card that is just not going to be playable in the vast majority of draft and sealed decks. If you want to get insanely goofy and you want to try to do some unique things rather than strictly trying to win, you could, once in a very, very blue moon, make a deck that works with this with cards with really good enter effects. So the endure mechanic, I think, would make sense with this thing, where some of your creatures with the endure mechanic would say, like, this is a 2-mana 1/2. When it enters the battlefield, endure 1. So it's a 2-mana 1/2, and you make a 1/1 when you play it, or you put a +1/+1 counter on it. Well, if you have the ceremony, boom, it's a 1-mana 2/2 and a 1/1 as well. But it's so, so narrow. I think you should almost never play this. You should probably literally never play this, but you could do it for fun with a very, very rare deck like that. Now we have Warden of the Grove as the last rare, a 3-mana 2/2 at the beginning of your end step. Put a +1/+1 counter on this creature, already like it. Whenever another non-token creature you control enters, it endures X, where X is the number of counters on this creature. Incredible card, wow. Yeah, as soon as this has been around for only 1 turn, every non-token creature that enters can spit out a 1/1 when you play it. After 2 turns, they're spitting out 2/2s. You also have the flexibility of instead choosing to put +1/+1 counters onto that creature, but I think the majority of the time you're just going to want the spirit tokens. But either way, a very powerful card. So really sick looking sealed pool, but I think that's going to be the case a lot in the set. In a multicolored set like this, you get so many very powerful cards because their power level is definitely restricted in their flexibility. They're very inflexible. You cannot just throw Felethar into any deck. It's white, black, green. It's a very restrictive mana cost, so you get a lot of power in these sets. You just have to focus up on only playing the very specific color trios that you can fit in there. You don't get to play like all your rares in one deck particularly easily. So one thing to show off here, because of the Abzan sealed pool that we're using, where we get 2 additional packs of Abzan cards. Well, not 2 additional. We get 2 Abzan packs instead of our 5th and 6th Tarkir Dragonstorm pack. If we count up how many cards we have of each color, or if I just show it off like this, you're going to definitely see a difference. You're like, there's a nice chunk there. That is, I could just check that, 29, so minus 17. So 12 white cards, versus only 8 blue cards, because blue is one of the 2 colors not in white, black, green. And then black should be about 12 again. Yeah, 14 black cards actually. 13 green cards. And then red, once again, yeah, because we don't have red in white, black, or green, there's only 6 red cards. So the sealed pools are very, very weighted towards your specific clan. So whichever one you like, you should try to take that sealed pool if you can in person at pre-release. But definitely on Arena, you literally just get to choose. So that seems pretty important, at least with the way that we opened up here. What about our multicolored spells? I wonder what the difference is between the Abzan cards and the other ones. Oh yeah, you can feel it here. Even the multicolored uncommons, right? I just have 2 green-black uncommons, none in the other colors over there. Yeah, we're just gonna play Abzan. Let's keep it nice and simple. Let's make sure I don't have to read all 6 packs worth of cards here. I'm just not going to read any of the blue and red cards. We have a much higher quantity of Abzan multicolored spells, as well as a much higher quantity of white, black, and green monocolored spells. So in the interest of getting this video out in a reasonable amount of time and keeping things a bit simple, I am not going to do my full due diligence of making sure that I check everything I could possibly do. I'm just going to check all the Abzan stuff and get into the gameplay here. So one thing to note, the set does have great fixing, and we got really lucky. 4 Sandstep Citadel? Our mana base is going to be real easy, actually to the point that I'm interested in checking out how much blue fixing I have. I don't think I'm going to read any of the other blue cards, but because I have 4 Sandstep Citadel, a couple on-color duels, I don't think it would be that difficult to splash in a 4th color into this deck to fit in our incredible Sultai Mythic that we saw there. So yeah, it looks easy. I can throw in a Misty Rainforest over a forest. I can throw in a Tranquil Cove over a plains. I can throw in a Thornwood Falls over another forest. And that's 3 blue sources without having to run any cards in the deck that aren't Abzan colors. I guess I do have to run 1, right? Misty Rainforest can't actually pick up any of the dual lands or the tri-lands in the set. None of them have basic land types, sadly. So I will have to run 1 island in here. So I'll have a single card in the entire deck that doesn't provide green, white, or black. But I think that's worth it for this Teval here. Seems really strong, seems really fun. So I'm going to shove that in there. And then we're just going to take a peek at the Abzan cards from there. Alright, so while I am confident that we're going to be playing Abzan, one of the things you can do to make sure your mana base is a bit more consistent is to try to pick a 2-color pair to really, really focus up on, so that all of your cheap cards are within that specific 2-color pair, and you run more sources of that color so you don't get stuck off of your 3rd color trying to cast a really powerful 2-drop without the mana to play it consistently. So I really like having 2 colors as my focus and splashing the 3rd generally in these 3-color sets, like Khans of Tarkir in the past. We are going to be a 4-color deck here, but we're basically just going to like double splash here. So I still want to have 2 colors at the core mainly. So I'm going to take a peek at each color individually and see which of the 2 seem the strongest and try to focus up on those. So in white, what do we got here? We got some fine aggro cards like Bearer of Glory. I like the Kinguard a lot, 2 mana 1/2 plus a 1/1 or a 2 mana 2/3. Great defensive removal. Osseous Exhale, Stormplane Detainment, and Static Snare. These are all efficient removal spells. What we could do here actually in our deck with so many tap lands, we could play a really slow defensive kind of deck where all of our cheap cards, we try to focus up on these cheap removal spells and just play all our tap lands early. So maybe we actually do get to play a deck where we're not particularly focused on one specific 2-color pair here, because all of our early turns are just going to be spent on fixing. Yeah, I don't think any of these other cards are anything super, super huge to mention here. They look pretty cool. The biggest one, obviously, the Sage, but I think the removal spells are the best 3 cards we have. Tempest Hawk is pretty tragic. It's one of the cards that searches up all your other copies of it. We have 1 copy, so that's not going to do anything. Yeah, the other cards seem fine. Sunshield seems fine. Lancer seems fine. We can read the Mobilize mechanic here, so I can make sure that I read it correctly. It creates those warriors. Yeah, and you sack them at the beginning of the next end step. So that Abzan card that we had, our legend that can sacrifice a non-land permanent to put a +1/+1 counter on the whole board. If you play that post-combat, you can just sack one of these mobilized warriors that was going to die anyway. Or, because it triggers when it enters or it attacks, if you attack with it at the same time as a mobilized card, you can make sure your mobilized card resolves first, so you get that warrior token on the board, and then you have your sack ability resolved to where you sack that 1/1 warrior that's just going to die anyway to buff everybody. Really, really nice synergy with that mobilized mechanic. As does the Starry-Eyed Skyrider. It also seems great with mobilize. All those 1/1 warriors are in the sky now. There's cool stuff going on in white for sure, but I think the coolest thing we could be doing with I think 8 tap lands in this deck, I mean 4 Citadel and 4 tapped duels, is probably try to focus up on just great early removal and play better late game cards. So Abzan Devotee looks like solid fixing here. Somewhat filler card in the main deck in terms of the stat line of the creature itself, but it's annoying. It just keeps coming back over and over and over again. It's a very consistent fixing for that reason. You can always make sure you're going to have that around later. Sure. Ooh. A black and X, pay X life, make an XX on Krumar Initiate here. Little more flexibility than that, too. Pretty annoying to attack into this card if you don't have instant speed removal, because they could, you could declare an attack into your opponent that has, 5 mana up, and even if you're attacking with a 5/5, they could just block with this and then be like, okay, well, this is a 6/6 now. Deal with that. Oh, never mind. It's only as a sorcery. Probably should have read that last line first. That does ruin that sort of combat trick flexibility. I guess they found that was too powerful. All right. If you can only use this as a sorcery, I think 9 times out of 10, you're just making spirits with it then. That was the one instance I could have seen you might want to put counters on it, is if you could block then activate it, but that's not a thing. Ooh, this card seems good. 2/1 lifelink and a 1/1, or a 3/2 lifelink. Unrooted Ancestor, another card that's just sick with Mobilize. Mobilize seems like it's going to be nasty. It looks like there's a lot of good ways to sacrifice those Mobilize tokens, and they are immensely expendable. They're just going to die anyway, so any good ways to sacrifice cards get really powerful. Another mechanic to talk about is the Omen mechanic. This is in all 5 colors. It's a mechanic that's on dragons. It's not as good as it looks. It looks like the adventure mechanic. It's not that. If you cast the Omen, you shuffle the dragon back into your deck, and you're just hoping to redraw it later. So unlike the adventure, you don't get to guaranteed get your 2-for-1 worth of value, get your 2 spells of value. You have to wait till you redraw that card, at which case you spent a draw step to draw it anyway. So Omens are really not as strong as adventures, so you do have to keep that in mind when you're evaluating these cards, but they are still pretty cool cards, depending on the card. If the card's individually strong on either half, then it's going to be pretty great. This one looks pretty filler overall. We're definitely not playing the Sib-Sig ceremony thing here. That looks pretty bad. Ooh. That was a slightly confusing line of text for me. At first I thought it was they exile a creature from their graveyard. I'm like, that's horrible. But they have to exile one of their creatures of their choice and their entire graveyard. That's actually pretty good. This Caustic Exile's great. 2 mana, -3/-3, or if you have a dragon, 1 mana, -3/-3. Alright, cool stuff out of black. And what about green? I love these simple cards. Vigilance, Reach, Death Touch. If you know the keywords, then you understand the card. Undergrowth Leopard. Oh, they reprinted that thingamabob from Outlaws of Thunder Junction. Is this the same card? 2/2 blows up artifact or enchantment. I doubt Heritage Reclamation's main deckable if I'm already going to have Undergrowth Leopards. More solid removal. There's just a really late game piece of Graveyard Recursion. Okay. What about the multicolored cards? What have we got here? Whenever one or more counters are put on a creature control, if it's the first time, put another counter on it. Yeah, and it's a 3-mana 3/2 menace already, sure. When this enters or dies, put a +1/+1 counter on a creature you control. The hybrid mana value on this is really cool. I mean, I feel like that makes it playable. Without that, you know, like white, black, green, 2/2, this would be pretty bad. But with that, like, it's always... It would be really hard to not have the mana for this on turn 4 in an Abzan deck. Yeah, sure. Felithar, obviously. Severance Priest, obviously. Double Skirmish Rhino. Siege Rhino's little baby cousin. Instead of a 4-mana 4/5 that drains for 3, it's a 3-mana 3/4 that drains for 2. That's still pretty good. Still going to be excited about that. Yeah, we'll do that. I actually think we're probably playing Defibrillating Current as well, even if we don't play red, because of the 2 grid mana value there. We could go white, black, and 2, 4 to a creature planeswalker, gain 2. Solid late game removal. You gain a little bit of life off it when you cast it. It seems worth it. What about this one? Is this worth black, green, and 2? When it enters, look at the top 3, put one of those back on top and the rest into the grave. Not really, unless you have a ton of graveyard abilities. If you could put the card into your hand, 100% slamming that in here. That's just an organ hoarder, but you cannot. Yeah, not interested in that. Okay, so we will run the Current, the Tibalt, all of these multicolored spells. That gives us room for 14 monocolored cards. What was going on with our multicolored as well? Was anything good going on there? Nope. Nope. I don't think I need 3-mana rocks in this deck. I'm not going to run a ton of dragons, and I've got really good land-based fixing, again, with the 4 Sandstep Citadel. That's absurd. And then same with the Embermouth Sentinel. I think our mana base, just our lands already, are good enough. We don't need the colorless fixing, and that's pretty much all that the colorless spells look to be doing in this sealed pool. Okay. I like that we're playing every non-basic in the sealed pool for this this blue splash. That's kind of sweet, kind of lucky. So, I had to pick 2 colors to play at the core. What would I pick? I would like... I think black had the highest quantity of cards here, but white, I really want Exile, Detainment, and Snare. So these are like the splash removal off the white. It's not going to be a splash, though, because we have so much white just off the multicolored cards, too. It's a little awkward, but our stalwart successor is green and black, so the only 2-colored card in here, really... Okay, no, we've got 1 white-black 2-colored card, but we have 2 green-black ones, so that leans a little heavier to green-black. This is also a green-black, but not white, so that's also slightly deeper to green-black. And then I can run more individually green and individually black cards here. I think that makes sense. So we'll have 4 mono white cards. So Sage of the Skies, I kind of have to treat it as a... not a 6-drop, but a play we can't really frequently make till we have 6 mana. But once we have 6 mana, we could like cast a 3-mana Merchant or something, and then cast a Sage afterward, and that's really good. And this is the 2 mechanics we haven't talked about are the 2 off-color mechanics here. The Jeskai mechanic and the Teamer mechanic, because that's blue, red, white, and blue, red, green, so we just don't have any on-color cards with those. The Teamer mechanic in blue, red, green is Harmonize. It's just flashback, but also you can tap a creature to reduce the flashback cost by that creature's power. So if you have a 5-power creature on board, you can tap your 5-power creature and flash this back for a single blue. Pretty cool mechanic. And then the Jeskai mechanic is Flurry, which this doesn't exactly say Flurry on it, but Flurry is a mechanic that cares about you casting 2 spells in 1 turn. So this is basically a Flurry card. This is literally a Flurry card right here. Whenever you cast your 2nd spell each turn, create another 1/1 flying bird. So you want to spam out a bunch of cheap spells in your Jeskai decks. All right. So there's the white cards we want in. For cheap creatures, we want them to be in black and green. So Abzan Devotee seems like just an instant slam in there. Solid filler for a deck that is super, super multicolored like this. Caustic Exile for sure, as good removal, is going to get played. What about these Delta Bloodflies? When it attacks, if you control a creature with a counter on it, each opponent loses one. So at best, it's kind of like a 2-mana 2/2 flyer, but a little worse than that even. I have a decent amount of +1/+1 counters running around with some of these cards, and I'll probably play some Endure. But I don't know that that's the greatest. I mean, if they play a 2/2 flyer of their own, then this just doesn't do anything ever again, which is awkward. I'll try out this Krumar Initiate. The life cost could be painful, but there is some lifelink in this format. There's some lifelink in this color trio. We've got Teval off the splash, but we also have some life drain with Skirmish right now. I think somebody else had lifelink, but I could be wrong. No, we just had maybe a little bit of life gain off of Exile, definitely a little bit of life gain off of Defibrillating Current. So yeah, tiny, tiny bit. Run the Initiate for now. So I don't really like either half of this card. And the flexibility does give you some value, but you cannot cast two halves, or both halves, off of the one spell. You're never getting the 2-for-1 worth of value. You're just shuffling it back and maybe drawing the other half later. I don't think I'm into the Feral Deathgorger here. I think we have better finishers just from all the multicolored nonsense. These Endure cards look good, though. Pretty much all of them. Sandskitter Outrider looks fine. I'm not going to have a million tokens in this deck. The only tokens I will have are the Endure tokens instead of Mobilize tokens, so I don't think Ancestor looks great. But Kintree Nurturer does. Aggressive Negotiations. Look at your opponent's hand. You Thoughtseize them, pick their best card, make them exile it, and put one counter on the board. Seems okay. I don't think I'm slamming that in here yet, though. I will slam in Strategic Betrayal. All right, finally, green. What do we have? Piercing Exile. Give me more removal. Let's play all of it. And then this is a lot of text. Oh, we didn't say the Sultai mechanic either. We hadn't seen any cards with this yet. Renew is the Sultai mechanic, where you can exile the card from the graveyard to get the +1/+1 counters onto something on the board. To get some kind of counter onto something like the board. Renew is a weird one. It's a graveyard value mechanic, but it differs quite a bit depending on the card. The one through line, the one thing that's the same on all the Renew cards is when you exile them, you get some kind of counters onto the board, like flying counters, lifelink counters, +1/+1 counters, anything like that. So this one's a 3-mana 3/3 up front at worst. And then you exile it from your grave for 4, put a counter on a creature, and then double the number of counters on that creature. Cute. Sure. Can try that. Definitely playing the Warden, though. That card is super powerful. Wow, these sealed decks are going to be so strong. It's going to be hard to cut stuff. Like, when you have really good fixing like this, and you get to splash in even a 4th color, you're just going to have so many cards in there. I think this Dragon Sniper is good. I don't know how often I'm going to have green mana early, though. Like, 1 mana. Have the green card in. I guess I'll put it in for now. We'll put in a lot of cards and then cut down from there. Draw a card if you control a creature with a counter on it. If you don't draw a card, put a +1/+1 counter on a creature. So this is pretty good if you have a counter on a creature, and then pretty bad if you don't. Oh, this is good. 2 mana, destroy a creature with power 3 or less, shuffle it back in. That's a fine removal spell. And then 5 mana, 3/3 flyer, destroy an artifact or enchantment. This is the kind of split card I like, where either half of this card is very powerful in the right situation. Like when your opponent has a good artifact or enchantment, getting a flyer and blowing it up is a great deal. When your opponent has a good cheap creature, just blowing it up for only 2 mana, also a great deal. So that's a really nice omen, I think. I think we primarily treat it as petty revenge most of the time, though, so I'm going to put it with the black cards. Ooh. 6 mana, 4/4 reach plus a 3/3, or 6 mana, 7/7 reach. That is beef. It's quite large there. Ooh. There's a monument in this format for like each color. Search your library for a basic swamp, forest, or island. Put in your hand, then shuffle. And then 5 mana 2/2/2s. That's cool. Man, the mana fixing in this format is spectacular. There's a 3-color land for each 3-color pair at uncommon. There's a 2-color land for each 2-color pair at common. Did I say uncommon for the 3-color? I hope I did. There's an uncommon 3-color land for each trio, a common 2-color land for each 2-color pair. There's some colorless cards like the 3 mana rock, the 2 mana fixer. There's an uncommon monument for each color trio as well. So much fixing. I feel like 5-color stuff would be potentially viable. I mean, there's even like a Dragon's Brood's relic here. We have like no red fixing at all, which is pretty funny. But with this card, you don't have to tap it for the second ability. So because I can get green, white, blue, black with relative ease in this deck, wouldn't be that hard to hit the 5-color ability on this. And then I get a 4/4 flying lifelink, deal 3 to any target. And when I deal the 3, I gain 3. Okay. Do I want to just go big and start 5-color right off the bat? I'm a little interested in that. All right, I'm playing Sultai Monument. I'm playing Dragon's Brood Relic. I'm just going to cut some of the cheaper cards that I don't know if I'll be casting early, and somebody might just aggro us straight out of the event. That'll be something to see, but if they don't, we have tremendous late game power here this way. So let's see. Let's get it sorted by mana curve. So I'm just going to click done and then open it back up. It'll be sorted by mana curve. Because I think it's just a bunch of 3 mana stuff really is what this deck is. Yeah. So cut 4 cards. Keep all this removal in for sure. I have a Dragon's Brood Relic and a Sultai Monument for more land fixing. This is a 5 mana creatures. This is a finisher creature. This is a 4 mana removal spell. I like all the non-creature spells a lot. We're going to go real low on creature count then, I think, and I believe the best way to do that is going to be cut some of this 3 mana clump out of here. For 1 or more counters, or put on a creature control for the first time, put another +1/+1 counter. That's really good with Warden of the Grove. But I think most of our other creatures, I mean, obviously Sage of the Fang also specifically. Yeah, I guess we have a couple cards in here that are like strictly putting +1/+1 counters on board, but I imagine a lot of these Endure cards we're going to want to be making the chump blocking tokens with to slow our opponents down, rather than putting more +1/+1 counters on the board. Yeah, I'm a little interested in maybe just cutting down on those +1/+1 counter synergies here. Just drop those 4, and then we've got a deck. A lot more focused on just turtling up, spitting out token blockers, and powerful spells in general. Yeah, it's an early access event. It's my literal first time ever playing the set, my literal first time reading the majority of these cards. I am certain literally only a few days from now, I will look back on this video and be like, what was I doing with this deck? There were so many better cards to run over what we did and all that, but I think I'm just going to cut those 4 and call it a deck here so that we can get into the gameplay, see how this format plays out. This looks like a really sweet deck, a lot of hyper powerful spells and great mana fixing. I'll play around with the basic land count a little bit before we hop in, to make sure that we have good colors, but I love the way the set is looking already. I'm super excited to get into it. So we have 10 green cards, 13 black, 9 white. I do need to run a single island here to grab off a Misty Rainforest and our Sultai Monument, but I don't need to run any red sources. So It's pretty close between black, green, and white, actually, but black and green are slightly more important. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 ways to get white mana. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 ways to get black mana. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 ways to get green. 8, 9, 9 here seems perfectly fine. I don't even think we have colored mana fixing here, do we? I guess I have 2 devotees where we need black mana to play them, and then they'll give us all the other colors. I also have 1 Dragon's Brood's Elite, which is, I need green mana to play it, but then I can get all of our other colors. So that's still slightly more black fixing than green fixing, and I have 13 black cards instead of just 10 green, so if I want to go even higher on a color, it would be cut a plains, play another swamp here. And I think I'm pretty happy to do that, because it also gives me Petty Revenge, Caustic Exhale, and Strategic Betrayal for early removal. The only early removal out of white is the Osseous Exhale. Yeah, let's do it. Let's play another swamp over plains, call it a deck there, and hop into the gameplay. All right, here we are for game 1 of Tarkir Dragonstorm. Very, very excited for the format. We get to start off with Abzan Devotee on turn 2 here and have all the mana we need to do whatever we want with the deck, including a turn 5 Teval, Arbiter of Virtue. Playing against another Abzan deck here. Embermouth Sentinel starts them off. I mean, they could also be, 4 or 5 color here. These tri-lands are really, really nice because with all of the different 3-color pairs in the format, you can play them even if you're like a different trio, right? Like if you're Sultai, green, black, blue, you can play Sandstep Citadels in there even if you don't care about the white mana. And if you're Mardu, white, black, red, you can play the Sandstep Citadels even if you don't care about the green mana. Uh-oh, we're getting rared. What is this? 3 mana, a 3/3 haste, a discard up to 2 cards, then draw that many cards. And whenever they attack, if there are 7 or more cards in your graveyard, exile a card at random from your graveyard. And you can play it this turn. Oh my god. 3 mana, 3/3 haste, discard 2, draw 2. Just great selection already. And then if it sticks around, it goes even crazier. Alright. That's certainly an issue. Let's go Felethar. Just a 3/3 trample here. I'm feeling slightly outclassed, but what are you going to do? I gotta try to get a good blocker out for that thing, and our 2/2 is certainly not. Stalwart Successor, so when +1/+1 counters go on their board, they get an additional +1/+1 counter. Skirmish Rhino is beautiful here. That could block the light thingy-mabob without even dying. No good attacks here. I mean, I'd be okay with trading Felethar into either of those, but now that I have the 4 toughness blocker, it doesn't feel necessary. So this takes 7 mana total to get the Reliquary Dragon. We have 5 already. This could be a Reliquary Dragon game. That'd be pretty wild. I've got the right colors for it. I do need another white source, technically. Another white or a blue source to do it. Because I can't get white and blue out of the Tranquil Cove. I have to use the relic to get the red. So I can go green and black real easily, but I guess it will actually take a little bit longer to get to this relic. What is this? Whenever this enters or attacks, endure 2. That is very good. Gets 3 +1/+1 counters every time it attacks, or makes a token here. I'm cool trading Felethar off into this thing because it combos so well with this Endure card. And I don't think Felithar is going to be able to attack and get its trigger going anytime soon. Like, yeah, if I could keep Felithar along for a really long game, I could start sacking the Devotee over and over again, but I'm under a lot of pressure here with that 6-5, so that is not like how the game looks here. I'm going to play Severance Priest for a death-touching blocker against the Vanguard over playing Tevel. It's also slightly better against them having removal. I'd rather trade this off than trade our great thing off. Our great dragon thing. Turn a card from grave to hand. Sure. You can have a 2-2 instead of that. Because if I let you keep that, you get like a 3-2 menace instead. Or a big flying dragon. Okay. If I play Relic now, I still won't have the mana to crack it next turn unless I draw a blue or white source exactly. So I'm going to play the creature instead and pass. We can trade our Death Toucher into the 6-5, and then they have a 3-3 and a 2-2 left on the board. And I will have a 6-6 flying lifelink from Tevel, so that's how we're going to try to win here. Top deck to rare. What is this? When it enters, you may mill equal to the number of lands you control. And it's a 5-5, so it mills them a bunch to get a bunch of other good graveyard abilities in the grave. Oh, wow, and give them the 7 cards they need for Tursa. Well, that's nasty. Exile a card at random from their graveyard, at least. So they get to play just a leopard. All right, cool. So take that trade. Take that trade. They get a 2-2. Sure. Or the Rhino's not a trade. Rhino gets to stick around. So what does this do when it's in the grave? Right, so it fills the grave really well. Oh, and it's a 4-mana 5-5. 4 mana for 5-5, also a great stat line. Exile from the grave, put X +1/+1 counters on a creature where X is the number of lands in your graveyard. Okay, so that puts a lot of counters on something. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 counters at least. Okay, there's the leopard. The little removal spell. So that could blow up my Dragon Brood's Relic. So before I play that, I'm going to want to Petty Revenge the leopard. But let's just play Tevel and start winning off that in the sky, I think. Oh no, we can't do that, because the Karsi Revenant can give Flying, Death Touch, and Lifelink to one of their cards, and then they just Death Touch block Tevel. This is not a wonderful spot, because if they do that to the 5-5, I don't have an answer. I have to just trade Tevel off. Artifact, they don't have an artifact enchantment. I don't have a second blue or white. Devotee doesn't do much. I think I still just play Tevel. And what I'm hoping for here is they see that I have a 6-6 flying lifelink on board. So they know that whatever they put the counter onto is just going to trade into a Tevel. So maybe instead of giving the 5-5 flying Death Touch and lifelink, they'll give one of the 2-2s flying Death Touch and lifelink, which will put it in range of our Petty Revenge, and then we can still win with Tevel. If they give the 5-5 flying Death Touch and lifelink, I'm gonna have to trade a Tevel into it either way, so we just play it right now. And they're playing off the top, so I'm not playing around removal or anything here. So we're just really hoping that they're like, well, if I'm just going to trade into Tevel either way, I might as well trade with a 2-2. That's the hope here. Perfect. Exactly what we wanted here. And now Tevel is genuinely... Oh, wow. Strategic Betrayal is also really good in this matchup. But yeah, now Tevel is absolutely on its way to winning us this game. I can exile their grave so the Prowler doesn't do anything here. And we exile one of their creatures. And then we delve one to cast everything, I think. Alright. Now we are hitting them for 6 and gaining 6 every turn. Oh, I guess the leopard can just kill the relic. I shouldn't have played the relic yet. I totally forgot about the leopard. There was too much other stuff happening in the meantime that I forgot my whole plan of don't play the relic till the leopard's gone. The old plan was to blow up the leopard with the removal spell, and then that plan got completely changed when we had to get rid of the Death Touch lifelinker, so... Obviously, my brain got a little frazzled there with things swapping around. But yeah, Tevil's gonna do it for us. Tevil gives us all the life in the world to keep utilizing our Krumar initiate as well. Oh yeah, it's sorcery speed. Definitely new to the format. Another thing I forgot. Because it's a sorcery speed ability, we can't use it right now, but they are dead on board, and I do have another ability to use my mana on, so not the end of the world. Here's a lethal swing. All right, we are 1 game in, and we're 1 victory in. Pretty wild format so far from what we saw. There were some pretty crazy things happening on each side of the board. Our opponent got big self-mill synergy for some exile cards from Grave. The random recast off that red hasty card was pretty sick too. But we turned things around, just a big flying life-linking dragon. And we're 1-0 heading into game 2. Here we are for game number 2. Yeah, I mean, beautiful mana, early plays, that's what we need. Let's keep this. And I'm actually going to go for the Flurry with the Sage here. I don't want to start with Dragon Sniper. Having a 1-drop to go with our Sage of the Sky seems really good. To play this on turn 4 and get 2 copies of it. So I'm going to lean into that ability here. So... I can Misty for the blue. I've already got double green. I guess I get double black off the monument. Oh yeah, I've got no choice but to get double black anyway. Very funny. Playing against Mardu, probably, as our opponent is Mardu Token 9. Just a placeholder, early access name. Oh, we have little warriors. Look at this. Nice. I can't click the bottom ones without clicking on my emotes. Uh-oh. Whenever a dragon enters, put a +1/+1 counter on Sarkhan, and Sarkhan jumps into the sky, becomes a dragon till end of turn. So just a 2/2 for now. I could just immediately blow that up with the Storm Brood, but I don't think I need to. I could just play Nurturer instead. That's probably worth it. Full Mardu, and there's the Flash Ancestor, can sack creatures, get indestructible, and we go big bomb now, double Sage of the Skies. Next turn I can get my 2/2/2s off the monument. Okay, Endure, get some blockers. Nothing to block our flyers, though. And if we just get some 2/2s on the ground, our ground blocks are pretty nice here. Oh, this is a tap land. I can't do that yet. Alright, I can just Jinx Yomi a soda, drop a Sandskitter Outrider of our own. Go wide with it. Four mana, 3/3 Death Touch. Whenever you attack with anybody, so this doesn't have to attack, target creature gets +X/+X till end of turn, where X is the number of attacking creatures. Pretty good. Pretty good. Sack another creature, give this indestructible. So they can sack the 2/2 token to save the Ancestor. That's only this creature gains indestructible, right? Not the other ones. Yeah. Considering a double block, I've got 2 lifelinkers here. I'm not going to double block the Outrider, I think. Yeah, this looks like our best block. Our 2/2 can't attack into the 3/3. Our Menace card can, and we probably are cracking back, considering I've got 4 life gain a turn. They don't have any lifelink on board. Whether or not they sack the 2/2, this is a good trade for us. I get to trade into the 2/2 and stop 5 damage, or I get to trade into the 3/2. Okay, Skirmish Rhino's a sick draw. Yeah, so we get to play a Skirmish Rhino and a Devotee instead of 2 Monument tokens here. Let's actually just attack all. If they trade Marshall for the Death Toucher, that's just going to give them much worse attacks without that ability. That's fine. Beautiful, they're down to 9. Here's some more life drain, and I still have 1 and a black for Devotee. And if they board wipe us, Devotee can come back from grave, and my Monument sticks around if it only blows up creatures. I have no idea what board wipes are in the format, though. Maybe there's Farewell, there's 6 mana. Exile all creatures and enchantments would be rough here. But if they don't exile, I can bring Devotee back from grave. And if they don't kill artifacts, then I can get 2 2/2s with the Monument. Hardened Tactician is awesome with the Mobilize mechanic. Another one of these cards where you're getting all of those expendable tokens that will die no matter what, so might as well draw cards as they're dying. Tactician's pretty sweet. Full aggro, send a message, they say. At 7 life over there, I think I just take this and crack back. I mean, our 1/1 doesn't attack back that hard, so I probably at least block with that. Yeah, and Devotee just comes right back from grave. Sure. I think I can block like that, still be super happy. But we're definitely not double blocking the Menace card or anything. Just keep that Skirmish Rhino. Osseous Exhale. Kill the Death Toucher. They don't have a dragon, so they don't get to gain any life off that. Oof. Speaking of not having a dragon, I do have one. So they block Skirmish Rhino, take 6. Okay, I guess the Skirmish Rhino attack's completely irrelevant. Well, I did block slightly too hard, I guess. No, I didn't. Because they could have exiled an attacking creature anyway. So even if I didn't lose those creatures on block, we wouldn't have lethaled them there because they just killed like the biggest flyer when we attack in and block the other with the 2/4. And we probably wouldn't have lethaled. I don't know the math on it. Anyways, that is 2-0. Incredible showing from the deck so far as we head into game 3. All right, here we are on the draw for game number 3. We definitely have to draw lands for this, but it has our same 1-drop plus Sage of the Skies combo to flurry out the 2 copies of that on turn 4. And it also has a really powerful turn 3, playing the Warden of the Grove first. That means these are going to come with counters too. Yeah, the Sniper endures and the Sage endures. Yeah, sure. I could put a Devotee onto the board, but I would rather guarantee a turn 3 Warden of the Grove here by playing the tap land and making sure I've got an untapped land on turn 3. Okay, there's Dragon Brood's Relic. I'm a little interested in playing that towards Sage. Towards Sage Sniper, but any land still gets us there. I mean, not playing Warden against them having no cheap creatures is also decent, because it's probably cheap removal at that point, I feel. I'm going to hold off on the Warden, and I'm not under any pressure on board, so I'm just going to get this Relic down. If I miss my land drop next turn, I get to start playing like Devotee and having Relic mana. I could like play Devotee plus exile their creature if they play a creature this turn, And then I've got another turn to hit the land, and if I don't hit the land and they don't kill Devotee, I can just play Sage plus Sniper off of Devotee and Relic 2 turns from now, regardless of our draws. See, I like the planned next turn play of Devotee Betrayal. Yep, and that's going to be the play. Works out great too, because I didn't hit the land, so this is about as perfectly as things could have lined up for us so far. And now I can go Sniper Sage here. 1/5 reach stops our graveyard abilities, I guess. Cute. I don't think it really matters too much. How much do I want to have the Endure counters on these? I mean... yeah, I mean, I guess Warden is the kind of card that is at its absolute best if you play it before any other creatures. So it kind of needs to be played first, which means it kind of is just going to die to removal if they have it. Because, like, if I play around removal and I play Sniper plus Sage, I just don't have any other creatures to endure with the Warden anyway. So then the Warden's not doing anything till I top deck more creatures. Yeah, this sealed format, at the very least, if not the draft format, but the sealed format at the least, looks like it's going to be super multicolored. Like 4 colors on average, 3 color plus splash, like our deck is, and I think pretty much all our opponents so far. Our round 1 and our round 3 opponent, at least. Our round 2 opponent might have been pure Mardu, just red, white, black, as far as I remember. Okay, tap land here. Sure. We go Sniper Sage. Give them an opportunity to kill something if they want before we get 2 flyers. I don't think... I mean, I have no idea. I haven't seen any of the counter spells in this format, but I would assume there's not one that counters a spell and an ability at the same time. So even if they have the counter spell here, it plays just as well as 1/1 removal, which is to say, not great, since we still get a creature left behind out of this. Okay, pick up their -3/-3 removal. Sure. Still get a Sage. That's a glitch. I should be able to know what the, yeah, I'm definitely supposed to be able to know what that Omen does, but it doesn't matter. They don't play the Omen anyway. They just play the 4/3 flyer. Let's go Defibrillating Current. Sorcery speed only kills something with 4 or less toughness anyway. I do have 6 mana for this Relic, though. I need 7. Okay, I need 7 anyway. This just dies, right? Cast Sorceries and Dragons if they had Flash. Yeah, it just dies. Get 1 damage in, gain 2 every turn. They have 2 cards left in their hand. I got 2 removal spells left in my hand. And the Relic for the big dragon with lifelink. So I feel ahead here if these cards are not pretty powerful. Post-combat, sack the Relic and kill the Sentinel here. Beautiful. Oh, it's 8 mana, not 7. I can't quite get there. Alright, I still don't want to throw one of these at the Sentinel. Sure, we don't... as far as I remember, we don't care about our graveyard in here. The Sultai and the Temur care about the graveyard. If our Devotee dies, then I guess I will care a little bit. Exile this card from your grave, put a +1/+1 counter, a trample counter on a creature. Cool. I'm not sure what the oops was from opponent. Maybe they missed something. If they did, I also missed it. Okay, well, we'll static snare that and shut off their removal spell. It's also a creature with a graveyard mechanic, so exiling it is gross. Their removal is countered, they don't get to renew it. That was an incredible turn for me. Do not hit the relic mana, but I do get to exile the last card out of their hand. And we're just way ahead on board, jamming in for damage. The 3/3 Death Toucher matters a lot against the 1/5 as well. Sure, I'll exile that. I'll attack all here. I have nothing else I'm doing with this 3 mana. If they want to kill the Devotee, force me to pick it back up, that's fine. I guess, yeah, it is a little awkward with the Sentinel's ability, right? If I activate, they can respond with Sentinel. I guess it keeps them from using Sentinel's ability for now. Skirmish Rhino's the draw. I do enjoy that. Alright, this is some big thing that does something big from the grave, so we exile that. Jam, jam, jam. This is probably overly defensive. But I think I'm just holding up the Devotee mana over playing the Rhino here. I just have absolutely no idea if I should be playing around board wipes in the set or not. And I think we're enough ahead, there's not really a reason not to. If I didn't have a Devotee in grave, I'd probably slam down the Rhino there. But if I slam down the Rhino, then I know I'm never getting the Devotee back, so... it gives me some extra reason to play it a little safe against a potential board wipe. Alright, there's all 5 colors from our opponent. Not bad. I will play that, I think. And then just still have a Skirmish Rhino left over at least. Well, no, now I can Skirmish Rhino and still have Devotee mana up. Still put them really low. Still kill them in basically one more swing. Right, block 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, put them to 2 on the next swing. And I have Tevel post board wipe now, if they find a Wrath of God or something. I have yet to see a single board wipe. Maybe this is just not a board wipe format. Been playing too much Amonkhet Remastered lately, where there's like 10. That is the Relic mana. I believe Relic can shoot the face, but I guess we'll find out here. I guess if they trade into the Dragon Sniper, then no Relic this turn. Or if they have a good flash card. Oof, some big flash rare. What enters? Gain 3, Surveil 3, destroy an enchantment or counter a creature. Jesus Christ. Okay. That card is nuts. Because now they just get their 4/4 back at instant speed? My lord. Ooh. Alright. I'm going to stop playing around board wipes. Because this game has just gone so much worse for us than if we just full jammed in. And we've yet to see one here. They do trade in the Dragon Sniper and keep us off the Relic mana. Alright. Sure. Ooh. They did not use the Sentinel first, so they're not going to tax me off of the Devotee here, which is good. Because I wouldn't be able to afford to Devotee this turn as well. I guess if I played land pre-combat, I could have, right? I go Misty Rainforest for a forest. And then using the relic and the thing. Uh-oh, another top deck. 3/3, whenever one or more cards leave their graveyard, they get a treasure. Exiling it from the grave gets 2 counters onto something and flying. That's pretty good as a renewability. But Teval's still looking great. Renew is sorcery, right? Yes, renew is sorcery. Okay, good. Is this sorcery? I think Relic's instant speed. Yeah, Relic's instant speed. The second ability is sorcery only, though. So we can force them to lose all their flyers here and reach creatures. We force the chump with the pummeler. Yeah, let's force the pummeler chump. And then they can renew and make the spirit a flyer. So this isn't really going to kill them insanely fast. Or I think they can survive next turn. No, they have to top deck something to live next turn. Because they could block Teval and then take 6 from the other 2 flyers. So unless they top deck something else and give the spirit flying, this is still lethal. Is that a tap and stun kind of card? Tap and stun. Do they have the mana to get flying? Oh, they don't, so they're still dead, right? I'm just double checking. Yeah, GG from opponent. I believe that's lethal in the sky. Alright, way closer than it needed to be. I guess I've been playing way too much Amonkhet where there's board wipes everywhere that I'm just playing way too conservatively here. But it's still going to be undefeated so far. 3-0 heading into round 4. Here we are on the play for game number 4. Sick hand here. Great hand disruption, great removal, and a bomby bomb if they can't kill it. They probably can, from what we've seen so far from our opponents and our own deck. There's a lot of just great, cheap removal in the format. They can deal with these cheap cards like Warden. Start with Thornwood Falls. Nomad Outpost, red, white, black. Mardu stuff. Shock Brigade, 1/3 menace that can mobilize and get more stuff down. I think we just lead with the Warden. Well, no, if I lead with Severance Priest, I get to exile removal out of their hand. But then I have no creatures currently to get Warden counters onto, but still good. Alright, 3/3 flyer, mobilizes 1. A land dork. Tarkir just +/-1. If it's your own card, draw 2. And flash first strike whenever non-token dies. It endures 2. So they don't have any removal. Probably on Offenza, right? That seems the sickest. But the way their hand looks, we probably just go Sands and Warden next turn and start juicing that up. So they're going to hit me for 2 a turn with Shock Brigade. It menaces for 1, the 1/1 hits me too. I guess the 1/1 doesn't hit me. Got a 3/3. They don't have anything in hand that makes it big enough to kill Priest. So unless they immediately drew something here, we get to stop the extra 1 damage. They could just draw 2 cards with their measures thing. Just sack this mobilize card. Try to draw towards removal. They are not going to. They'll play the Embermouth Sentinel, put whatever land they want on top. They are not putting a land on top, they're just keeping a 2-1. Okay. This is a Hydra. I have no dragons for Exhale, so that is 2 mana removal. I can't hold it up if I play Warden either way. So let's just jam, play Warden, play a tap land. Again, what we've seen, they shouldn't have anything to kill the Warden here. If I block the Sentinel, they can +2/+1 the Warden and make it 2 toughness against the 2 power card. Okay, sack it, draw 2. Find another Shock Brigade. Ooh, yeah, they drew into Shock Brigade and 1 mana removal. Rough. Those are some solid draws off that. Here's a Sultai Monument. Couple 2/2s for us next turn. Just another green source, I bet. I've got Caustic Exile up. Still jamming. They probably attack us for 4 and then we exile the Lancer. Out of the information that we have, that looks the most likely, but they also could just have drawn a better 4 mana or less creature by now. Mobilize is a scary mechanic. If they have any kind of cards that give the whole board +2/+0 till end of turn or anything like that, that leads to some huge damage. 3 mana for 2 little creatures. Sure. Pretty cool. Another card that's great with board buffing stuff. Alright, I mean at this point, they have enough creatures on board and I'm under enough pressure. I might want to exile a Shock Brigade, or exhale a Shock Brigade. But I can also hold up the exhale in case they try to trick me when I attack in here. That's probably better. Oh, Strategic Betrayal is really bad in this matchup. It was really good last game, it's going to be really bad this one. Okay, if they try to combat trick, blow up Severance Priest, I can Caustic Exhale. If they don't, then I just crack the Monument. Cool. They top decked more removal. Blow that up. That's not good. Please, no more gas. They're playing off the top now. They have 1 Lancer we know about, and then whatever they drew. So, hopefully now is like our chance. They play the Lancer, we kill it, gain some life here. Beautiful. All right. More removal. Again, doesn't feel like the best matchup ever for just tons of little targeted removal because it's just all wide. But hey, I'll do what I can. I don't have red here, do I? No. I can exhale the 3/3, but then I still don't attack with these 2/2s yet. I kind of want to save Detainment for something bigger than a 3/3 though. But the only way I get to attack with my 2/2s is if I have an Exhale up, because otherwise they double block with the 1/3 and the 1/1. So I would have to Detainment the 3/3 and then attack with those. I guess I can delay that decision till next turn here. If I draw like absolutely nothing, maybe we are supposed to just detain a 3/3 and attack in holding up Exhale. But I'm not going to do it just yet, because that would be all of my targeted removal. The only removal I'd have left would be Betrayal, that just kills their Goblin token, and that would be really bad for me if they play anything really good here. And they are Mardu, which is like a really aggressive color trio, so they probably are playing a lot of just little creatures. To where if I just sit on my butt and we're just in a top deck war trying to see who draws stronger cards first, we're probably slightly favored in that kind of game. Whereas like if I double removal, if I Detainment and Exile on this mediocre stuff, or Detainment and Exhale, I could never say that right, on their mediocre cards, then all it takes from them is one good draw to just kill us. Just one good like Mardu rare. Whereas now they'd have to hit a lot. Okay, I'm really happy with that. Because now their Mardu tokens, their Mobilize tokens, just stay on the board until we kill Zergo. So we need to deal with Zergo immediately. If I Exhale the Brigade, they don't get any free tokens this turn, and then I exile the Zergo. If I don't Exhale the Brigade, the token will still die at the end of their next turn? Right? How does this read? Sacrifice at the beginning of the next end step. No. If I don't kill this right now, the token stays forever, period. It says sacrifice at the next end step. The next end step, this says don't sacrifice. And then that end step will be over by the time I kill Zergo, so that token will be there forever. So I think I do Exhale this. Okay, I'm gonna have to draw something now to get blocks on the Brigade. Did not draw something, so the Shock Brigade's gonna be poking again. Although the underdogs could have still been giving it unblockability anyway. I feel like I'm just sitting on this until anything good shows up in their graveyard. Because it's basically exclusively exiling their grave in this matchup. It's not really killing anything. Just a 1/1 goblin. Alright, we're back to taking one a turn. And seeing if we can draw one of our own rares. They drew Zergo. They drew Zergo into 6-drop Dragon. Uh-oh. We drew land the last 3 turns. Might be it for us. We have, I think, literally one more turn to draw something here. Because they unblockable hit us for 1, the dragon hits us for 5, that's 6 damage, we're at 7. And then the turn after this, they just attack all and I'm dead on board. So I have 1 turn to actually draw a spell. 3 for 3 from our opponent. Zergo into Stormbrood into Vanguard, and I think that's 1 mana off. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, it's not 1 mana off. It's usable. All right, the three lands in the row ends here, and now we actually have something that makes up quite a bit for it. They'll have to top deck again to kill us this turn. Just the mana. Kind of one by one showing up there. I definitely have to hit this Vanguard thing, right? Tempting to hit the underdogs, but this is lifelink, so. And then this trades into the flyer. Takes some damage elsewhere. I do have to draw again. I have to kind of go runner. But if we trade into the Stormbrood, if they miss on this draw step, just hit a land, then I have quite a few turns to draw into something. At 10 life, taking just 1 a turn, because our 2/2 will be untapped from here. I guess there was an argument to like block that and then crack back, but probably not. Krumar Initiate. That is double block on the Menace. Okay. This might be so bad against Mardu, it's genuinely sideboard material in this format. I feel like there's such high variance here with the card, right? This is like their 5th spell in a row, I think. Because they played another Shock Brigade last turn, now they played a Victor. So they went, what, Zergo, Dragon, Victor, Brigade. Oh, no, there was a Vanguard there as well. Yeah, that was 5. What does this even do? +1/+0 indestructible to somebody? So I can't double block kill that, and then that has unblockability, so I can't block that either. Ooh. Interesting. I think my life is too low to really be enduring with this thing. Their creatures are small enough. Am I just going 3/3/2/2/2/2 on blocks? Go to 8, sack 1, have a 4/4 and a 3/3 on blocks. 4/4 on the 3/3. 3/3 on a 1/1, take 1, 2, 3, 4. Guess I can do that. Alright, I'm just going to Betrayal now at this point, because they're at a board state where it could be worth attacking with the Goblin. Just going to assume they're not going to top deck something that cares about the graveyard anytime soon. The Betrayal's never killing anything other than the Goblin, so let's just be slightly safer on blocks. 6th spell in a row is immediate removal for the Felithor. Low enough now, they can afford to just attack all and put me really low. Down to 3. Lifelink is big. Lifelink plus 2 blockers. Alright. Getting our own spell clump. Oh, you know what? Even though the Menace is a really big deal here, I maybe should have still made this a 3/2 lifelink, because then it's big enough to block a token without dying. No, that's probably a punt here, actually. Because the only way they get to attack unblockably is by attacking with a Mobilize card. If they attack with a Mobilize card, I can block with a 3/2 lifelinker and gain 3 and completely counteract the damage. I should have put the counter on the Nurturer. It's a little counterintuitive because, again, we need more blockers against this Menace. But I think it actually would have played better. Because they can't not make the 1/1 token. All right, well, that play makes it look like they just drew something immediately, but we'll see. Are they 7 for 7? Okay, no. I guess the play also, it kills our life flicker. Yeah, it's the right play, even if they just have a land in hand. Wish I could double spell with you, friend. Wish I could double spell with you. Lifelink is still a big deal, though. Kind of have to play it right now. I need all my blockers up. Ay, ay, ay. Removal for the Sage. Big lifelink dragon, big lifelink dragon. No! This is our final draw step. Barely survives. If they've got nothing here. They found the land clump. They found the land clump. I still have a chance to find Big Dragon. No, they found Big Dragon. Top deck, please. Oh my god. If they cast a non-creature spell, I lose. Otherwise, Skirmish Rhino gives me one more draw step again. Nice. 3 free damage by pretending I have a combat trick instead of a Skirmish Rhino in hand. Because Initiate's not doing anything on blocks anyway. No spell. No spell. We're at 1. That's dead. They're gonna go to 3? Oh, it's so close. We got them to 3. I'll still take that. That's pretty impressive for how the top deck war went. They just hit a really huge clump of spells early there that kept us under so much pressure. We had that sequence where we hit like 3 or 4 lands in a row at the start of the top deck war, and they hit like 7 spells in a row for their beginning there. Yeah, maybe there was another earlier spot I could have played more aggressively, maybe gotten another Initiate swing in. I felt that against Mardu it would be pretty bold not to play around them top decking like a haster. So I played it a little extra defensively, and maybe that's where we lost out on just enough damage to lose the game there, but still really happy with how the deck played out there. I think we also just drew a decent bit worse in the top deck war position. So 3-1 it'll be, heading into game number 5. All right, here we are on the play for game 5. If they like exile or devotee or something, that'll be pretty tragic because that is how we're playing a turn 3 skirmish rhino and beating on the play here. Ooh, another red-white deck. This time the Jeskai colors, blue, red, and white. That's the flurry deck. Bunch of cheap spells so they can double spell and get some pretty crazy triggers going. Probably the two most aggressive decks, I would imagine. Mardu. Mardu #1 by a country mile. That deck is real aggressive with all the mobilizing going on, but I assume Jeskai's also pretty aggressive. Sack a creature deals damage equal to the number of creatures control 2 target creature. Whoa, that's not fun. That is not fun at all. Wow. Okay, I mean, I need the devotee for the white mana here to play the rhino, but then I don't. So I'm going to attack in, because if they trade, and then we get rid of it without them using the ability, but the ability can do it so easily. They have a 1/1 warrior token that's just going to die anyway. And then they can just sack that to kill anything if they get enough mobilizing going. So right now with the skirmish rhino out, if they don't have removal for that, which they do, they don't get to really do the headliner thing. But they had the removal for that. 2 mana, 4 damage. The removal in this format is insane. Alright, well. Felethar is a thing. I think I have to endure on this Outrider to play around the headliner. What is this? 1 mana, 1/2. Shut off a creature's power. Jesus, okay. Jeskai's got hands. Jeskai's got hands. First time against Jeskai. Not happy. Not happy at all right now. I mean, it's mainly the headliner being a huge issue. Making all our 1 toughness cards super bad. If they play another 2 mana or less creature, they actually have enough creatures now to kill the Outrider without even spending a card, which is nuts. Okay, they just play straight up removal, fair enough. But yeah, like if they had another full-on creature on the board, then they could spend 2 mana to sack the goblin. Or not the goblin, the warrior. Oh! Okay, I've been completely misreading the card the whole time. Disregard everything I have said. It sacks itself. It sacrificed this creature, not sacrifice a creature. That is so much more fair than I thought it was. I thought that card was egregious. Again, pre-release here. Never read it before. Just make a 4/4 Felethar here, hope for the best. Yeah, I mean, the one toughness blockers are just real bad against Mobilize anyway. So I could go for a 4/4 here. I guess I forced them to like headline or something. That's probably better. Yeah, I don't think the difference between a 3/3 and a 4/4 is going to be that wide here. Yeah, because I was going to say anything they have that's going to kill the 3/3 is probably killing the 4/4 with how good the removal looks in this format. Okay. They could sack Headliner to just fully kill Felethar now, but if they do that, then obviously they spent 2 cards on it. What is this? 4 mana, 6/5 Vigilance Menace? All right. If their last card in hand is not a good spell here, we double block the Master and gain 3 as the play. I'm going to go for the Spirit token, because if they don't have removal to break through any of this, then they don't get to attack with the Effortless Master anyway. So they might, like, without some kind of trick or removal, just hold it back. This is probably horrific for us. Oh my god. It's a bounce spell for their combat trick. Awesome. What I was gonna say is that the plan there is, like, if they don't have any tricks, then they choose not to attack so we can't just kill the Effortless Master. in which case it's better to have more creatures out so that when I do get around to untapping Felithar, I can sack the 1/1 token and buff everybody else. Alright, Abzan Devotee is about to really earn its spot here. White mana during our turn, and then a white mana during theirs for Exhale. Really earn its place. Okay, then I can untap Felithor or play a Devotee. I think I untap Felithor here. I could Severance Priest. I don't think a 3/3 Death Touch matters that much right now. Yeah, the odds of them having something in hand that they're just going to hold is unlikely, but I like waiting till the 6th land so that I can put a Devotee back in hand and play the Priest at the same time. Be mana efficient here these next couple turns. Perfect. Let's see what's in their hand or force them to cast it immediately. Plains. Fair enough. If by top deck nothing but lands, we get to start sacking Devotees to Felithar, I guess. Big Flying Dragon gain 5 off the top for our opponent, and we find land off the top. I mean, I can't block that at all. They have 6 on the crackback if I attack with everybody. I could have Felithar sack itself, which is pretty cute. I don't think that's right, though. If this were untapped, I would probably go untap Felithar, play Devotee. I mean, I definitely would. I guess there's not really a point in holding up a blocker on the ground, right? Because the difference between taking 6 and taking 5 here is really tiny. We die to the flyer in 2 swings either way. So we just try to get as much damage in for a potential outrace as possible. Okay. Kind of all we got here. Alright, I got 1 turn to find removal for this flyer. Haste! No! Oh my god! Alright, well, you got me. 3 and 2 it is, heading into game number 6. Alright, here we are for game 6. Ooh, first time seeing Teval in a while, which is nice. Yeah, real slow hand, but real powerful one. Okay. Hello. I have double green, only a single black. Let's get another swamp with Monument. Another Mardu deck. There's the Shocking Sharpshooter. 2 mana, 1/3 reach. Whenever another creature control enters, deal 1 to target opponent. That is scary. Oh, I forgot we have 3 mana Abzan cards. We should have played one of these, the Plains over the island, to potential turn 3 Rhino if we drew into it. I just forgot that was a draw we could have. Perks of just learning the format early on. We'll have to be really, really paying attention to what lands we play in competitive events in this format. Yeah, Sharpshooter's real scary with Mobilize. Oh my god. And there's the Mobilize 3 Vigilant card. Yikes. Well. Attacking with that alone is attacking with 4 creatures, which makes Static Snare cost 1 mana. I can't cast the Rhino and hold up the Snare, though, because I don't have enough white mana. Yeah, playing the island has cost us a lot mana-wise here. I really should not have played that early at all. So I guess we Static Snare this turn, and then I can go Rhino plus Exhale next turn. Yeah, this game's very much on me here. Just playing the wrong land early. We would be in a significantly better position. We could have Rhino'd there, and then we have Snare and Exhale this turn. We would actually be really, really safe if I just played the right lands. I guess I could Snare the Sharpshooter before the Mobilize trigger, but if I do that, Exile's not big enough to kill the Pack Beasts, so I need to just Snare the Pack Beasts. So we take massive damage. At least this is a pretty good learning moment. If there was ever a time to make mistakes like this, it's definitely during the pre-release, during the early access, during events that don't really matter much, where everybody's learning the format. Because just playing the wrong land like this during like an arena open or something would be really, really rough. Oh my god, I don't think it's going to matter. They have double Pack Beasts in their pool? That's pretty gross. That's pretty gross. We are going to have big problems. Rhino. Exhale. So they do have a really good opening hand here. But again, had we played the correct mana, I think I'd still be at almost 20 life here. Because then I could have exiled the Sharpshooter, I think, before any Mobilize triggers even, potentially. If I'm remembering correctly. Maybe just after, like, 1. Draw 2, lose 2. Oh, and then whenever a creature enters, each opponent loses life and you gain a life. So another card that's just insane with such a big Mobilize like the Pack Beasts. Wow, and the Exile too. Their deck is sick. Save me, Teval. Don't get 1-for-1, please. No removal, no removal, one time. Let me have my life gain and stay in this game. Buff the Pack Beasts, draw a card. Get a couple got this might be lethal. I mean, if they have removal, it definitely is. I don't even think they really needed to cast anything to kill me if they had removal. Okay, I guess they did have to cast that for the removal because they needed a creature to sacrifice other than Pack Beasts. But yeah, that's mega dead. Incredible deck from our opponent, but we still could have really had a game here that could have been anyone's game if we played the right lands on curve. But that'll do it. Go out on our own terms, at least. And 3-3 is the way that we start off Tarkir Dragonstorm as a format. obviously my very first time playing, and we're just going for big fun nonsense here. So 3-3 is not the greatest record ever, but we didn't 0-3 and out or anything, so perfectly fine. Very, very average way to start it off. Already learning some cool things about the format. It's very, very early to tell after only one pre-release event, but so far, I like the format a good bit. Obviously, slightly concerned about how strong the aggressive clans are, but with a very, very small sample size. So, again, take it all with a grain of salt, but we got absolutely destroyed by Mardu and Jeskai, and that was the only thing we were really worried about. We had really, really solid matchups against other Sultai, Abzan, Teamer kind of nonsense, all the 4-color, 5-color splashy stuff. And again, super, super small sample size, so who knows. But I feel like if I had to throw a guess out there, if I had to throw a gamble out there for how this format is going to shape up, I feel like in Sealed generally, because it can be a little slower and there's so many duels that you can open up and triumphs and stuff, that these kind of, Abzan-centric, Sultai-centric, really kind of any clan you want, but these kind of 4 or 5-color, slower, big multicolor bomby decks are going to be super, super prevalent and Sealed. But I do think Mardu and Jeskai are shaping up to be real scary cards when you're in draft, and you can really focus on making that mana curve really aggressive, get a ton of those cheap mobilized cards. I think those are going to be scary, scary clans in draft, whereas these kind of bigger buffer ones are going to be really scary in Sealed here. But we'll see how the format shapes up. It's still only one event in. That's a super small sample size, but I had a lot of fun, and I do think Sealed and Draft are going to play way differently in this format, like a lot of them, but even more so. So that'll be cool to be playing some competitive Sealed and some competitive Draft, and really, really diving deep into the differences there. So very, very fun way to start it off. Loved the deck here. Sad I didn't get to play with it any farther than that. Just a average little 3-3 run here, but that's okay. We got plenty more early access videos coming to you all. That is going to be every video for the next week, coming up to the launch of Magic Arena next Tuesday. So stay tuned for all that. Plenty more drafts and seals of the early access event coming to you all. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send some more in the recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.